Hey, what's going on, everyone? Welcome back to the channel. This video, we're going to be doing the MLB Power Rankings. There's 1 week left in the season, and things have really started to show their true colors. Some teams pretty much fallen out of the race. The bottom is kind of up in the air at this point. Some teams probably looking forward to next year, some not trying so hard. But on the top side, we've got some change up in the World Series, really, in the contenders. Wildcard race is really intense in the American League side, and the National League side, we've got 2 division races which are going crazy. So let's just jump into it. Number 30, staying in the bottom. It's kind of hard to not. But the Baltimore Orioles, they've been there now, I don't know, 7-8 weeks in a row. They've been, other than the time when Arizona was on that massive losing streak, that's where they've been. And Arizona's number 29. I'm not going to add too much to these. Both these 2 teams pretty much proven this season that they're the bottom 2 on each respective side. Number 28, the Pittsburgh Pirates. Of course, they are starting to make some headway, catching up to the Cubs. But they got a long ways to go in a division that has shown that has some pretty good contenders ahead of them, at least in their division. Not there. Number 27, Texas took a little bit and won the series off the Orioles over the weekend. So I think they've just a little bit of slighter edge in the direction they're going. At least right now, their division probably compared to the Orioles a little bit easier to make some headway in going forward as well. Number 26. But the Washington Nationals, if it wasn't for Juan Soto, I don't know what this team would be right now. They traded away, of course, Trey Turner, Scherzer, a big part of their team core. What made them competitive on most nights. So they're definitely in a rebuild stage. How that impacts Juan Soto going forward, we'll see about that. Number 25, Chicago Cubs. So since the trade deadline, they went on that massive losing streak, and then they had a little bit of a period there where they're like basically played 500 ball, but now we're pretty much back to losing a lot. I think they're 1-9 over their last 10. Very well could be worse than the Pirates next year at this rate. Pirates gotta eventually not be last, right? Number 24, got the Angels. They have used their strength on offense to get some chance of spoiling the Mariners over the weekend, but they're not a strong team. Ohtani's been whatever since the All-Star break. They've not had Trout. Their pitching's been atrocious. It's kind of starting to look like, what are they going to do in LA there for them? Number 23, got the Marlins, kind of in the same area as they were last week. Rebuilding team. Lost both series this week. Not too much else there. Number 22, got the Kansas City Royals. And number 21, just going to do these both at the same time. Minnesota Twins. Both these teams pretty much tied for the basement of their division. I do think the Twins on a given number when they have Byron Buxton now back. Their pitching rotation seems to be a little more consistent. And they have like some more veteran presence. I think if they didn't have such a bad start to the season, they would have finished a lot better. So I do put them a slightly edge better in Kansas City going forward into next season. Number 20, got the Colorado Rockies. They get a lot of credit because they've had such a tough division this year, of course, with the Padres, Giants, and the Dodgers, and they're not like super far behind 500. Of course, they have the home field advantage that seems to be working out very well for them. But I don't think the Rockies are as far back from being a contender as some of these teams behind them, especially when it comes to the National League side. Number 19, we have the New York Mets. Of course, they've dealt with injuries all season long. Maybe going forward into next season, they might not be this low. But as of right now, they're just getting pumped, and they're getting pumped often. It's pretty much a disaster season for the Mets. I don't know what else to say other than that. Number 18, they've been falling pretty much over the last couple of weeks since they grabbed that wildcard spot. They've just had an atrocious record, like 3-7 over most past 10s. The rotation, Miley, just not holding it down for them. Sonny Gray, although Castellanos at one point was looking really good. Votto, of course, having an MVP caliber season, just couldn't get this team over the hump, and they're far out of the playoffs at this point. And honestly, I don't know what their future is going to look like going forward, considering how the rest of this season kind of played out for them. Number 17, got them moving on up a little bit here. I think this is the highest Detroit's been all season. It's because some of these other teams are starting to realize, like, looking on to the next season, Detroit, I think, is going to be a bigger threat. They're almost 500 this season. Very well next year they're going to make another step forward, I would suspect, with their young pitching staff, their young hitters. They're a team that's going to be up and coming in the Central that hasn't been super dominant this season. Number 16, the Indians, just slightly ahead of Detroit right now. They managed to beat them in most series they played this year, and they're pretty much close to 500 too, right smack dab in the middle of the MLB. They're pretty much the definition to me of an average team, average offense, slightly lower than some, but average pitching, sometimes get a better side than some. Number 15, we got the San Diego Padres. Disastrous season for this team. Expected at one point to be a lock for the playoffs, even like 2 months in. I think their chances of making the playoffs were like not high 90s%. That just, the floor just completely fell out of them, and it had to do with the pitching mostly, but even some of their bats, Hosmer, just not being the guy they signed for that long distance. Padres are going to have to take a look at what went wrong with this team. A lot of their free agent pitching not holding up to what they signed for. Number 14, holding on by the skin of their teeth right now for like the smallest of chances to make the playoffs. We have the Oakland A's, and they're another one of those teams that had a good win streak at one point during the season, up and down, always been in the race pretty much since, actually they started the season like 1 and like 9 or something. I do remember that, but then they had a good run for a little while. But a lot of teams for them to hop, and it's looking like it's slowly going to close for them. Number 13, Seattle Mariners. They win today to stay. They're actually going to pick up a game because the Boston game's about to end and the Yankees are winning. And that means that the Mariners are at least going to pick up one game on that. I think that puts them 3 games away. There's still a tough chance. Big series between these two. Basically, Seattle has to sweep to get in, and either team has to sweep at this point to get in the playoffs. Number 12. Philadelphia Phillies. They're in the playoff race. They lost a big game today against the Pirates. They went for the big sweep and they couldn't close the door, so that's going to hurt. They're going to have a big series against Atlanta starting now. I think they're 2.5 games back, so almost looking for a sweep that Atlanta required very minimally. They have to go 2-1 against Atlanta in this coming series, but their chances are looking tough. Number 11. See, this is where it's going to be a little bit controversial, so before we go any further, please subscribe to the channel so that you can let me know where I'm going to be messing this up, because some people are not going to like this. I'm just going to put up the next couple here. Number 10, Blue Jays. Number 9, New York Yankees. All of these guys are very much tight, and these two teams, they are set to face off starting this week in a 3-game set. And that's going to be the big thing here. Of course, the Yankees have a 1-game cushion now after beating Boston tonight. Boston still holding on to that wildcard spot. And technically, they have the easier schedule of these two teams, so they probably have an advantage. But I think in a head-to-head match, they would lose to the Yankees. They would lose to Toronto. So if they don't get into this wildcard spot, they're done. I guess it's like that for everybody. But when it comes to these, 2 of these teams are going to be in. They'll probably be able to move up a little bit from that. But right now, it's anyone could get knocked out. And right now, I think it's Boston. 8, we got the Atlanta Braves. They're going to win their division if they can just beat the Phillies in a series 2-1 this week. They got a little bit of advantage to that and a little bit of a boost because they're not going to have to play a wild card game. Division winner, automatic bye, automatically into the final 4 of their side. And I think if the Braves can get into a 5-game series, they're going to have a chance to win it for sure. Number 7, this is like probably the highest I can put a team that is in the wild card, just because of that one game, or that's not true. We're gonna get to it, but like the Cardinals, this is like they've gone 16 games in a row, but they're gonna have to play the Dodgers at this rate in the first game series, 1-game series. I don't know. I don't give them the edge in that. Number 6, we got the Houston Astros. I'm just gonna throw out number 5 too because it's really relevant. These guys both kind of struggled this week. Both of them, I think, have lost 5-5 in their last 10. Nothing too great, but they're both already pretty much a lock to make the divisional series playoffs, and they're going to play each other. And at this rate, I give the edge to the White Sox, which means one of these teams are going to the Final Four of the MLB this season. So very well, top 5 and 6 of the makes sense. Number 4, we got the LA Dodgers. Dodgers are a great team. It's just going to be unfortunate when they're going to be the ones stuck in playing that one-game series because anything can happen. Hurts their chances of winning the World Series by a long shot, so I'm going to punish them with that. Number 3, we got the Milwaukee Brewers. They were on top last week, and I must have cursed them because they got swept by the Cardinals. But they did bounce back and sweep over this past weekend. Again, I do think they're a very solid team. 5-game series, they're going to be a monster. 7-game series, they can compete with the best of them. So, going to be watching for that. Number 2, the Rays. After a fun series with the Blue Jays, they win over the weekend very well. Dominate, division locked up. Top in the American League, pretty much locked up. One thing going against them, they're going to have to play one of these guys in the first round, which probably hurts them as opposed to playing those. But the Rays are the best team right now in the American League, and I think they're the best chance of coming on out of it. And number 1, we got the Giants. They're back on top, and I'm happy to see them there. They got a 2-game cushion on the Dodgers. Monster for them. They just don't want to play the wild card. They've worked so hard this year to be up there, and I'm just going to give it to them one last time here. At least this is probably the last power rankings of the season, because this time next week the season will be over and we'll know who's in the playoff. Maybe I'll do a playoff breakdown prediction video instead. But yeah, thanks for watching. Subscribe to the channel. We will, guys, see you out there for that next video. Peace out.